Hi, I'm Jim Covington on behalf of the Illinois State Bar Association for this week's ISBA Statehouse Review. Today is November 3rd, and I'd like to talk to you about three bills that are going to be heard next week in veto session, which will be the final week of veto session. Unless there's a specially scheduled session, the General Assembly will not meet again after next week until mid-January. Those three bills are Senate Bill 965, which creates the automated speed enforcement system for cities of more than 1 million residents. And essentially it sets up a red light traffic enforcement for, I think, speeding, if I understand it correctly, in designated safety zones around schools, parks, and recreational facilities. And if a motorist is more than 5 miles an hour in one of those zones in certain designated times, I believe from 6 a.m. to 10 at night, then it's a $100 ticket against the registered owner of the car. It is not reported to the Secretary of State unless the registered owner has 5 or more unpaid tickets. And it passed out of the Senate last week on a 32-24 vote and will be heard next week in House Executive Committee. Its stated effective date is July 1 of 2012, so it's possible the House could send that to the governor next week. The second bill I'd like to talk to you about is House Bill 1604, and that's sponsored by Representative Connie Howard of Chicago and Senator John Sullivan of Rushville. It creates some remedies for visitation interference. It allows a judge to order a driver's license to be suspended or the professional license to be suspended, creates a fine of up to about $500 as a petty offense for visitation interference, and it also creates a blanket automatic change of circumstance standing for a non-custodial spouse if the custodial spouse is found guilty of visitation abuse in a finding of contempt. And that will be heard Tuesday in Senate Judiciary Committee. The third and final bill I'd like to talk to you about will also be heard next Tuesday in Senate Judiciary. It is House Bill 1589, sponsored by Representative Bob Pritchard from DeKalb and Senator Mike Jacobs from the Quad Cities. It is an initiative of the Department of Defense USA Families, which is a related affiliation with the Department of Defense, to somehow go in and sort of make it more uniform across the country and more soldier-friendly for issues arising when a soldier is deployed overseas on a long-term deployment, because we've had a lot of that with the Gulf Wars. And it sort of makes that a little more, it makes it a temporary order when a soldier is deployed, so they don't have to come back and fight a clear and convincing burden change of circumstances. It's not going to affect a lot of cases, I think, because usually these things are taken care of long in advance at the request of the Department of Defense, but it seems like to be a nice little fix. And we will see you later. Thank you.